and welcome back. This is Part-Time Gamers Podcast. I am Sencard and joined by Frosty and Win. How are you doing, Frosty and Win?
I'm so excited and so addicted to this expansion already.
Oh, yes. So welcome to Dragonflight. Dragonflight is here. We are excited and got quite a bit to talk about. We're going to try to all cram it into one juicy hour for all y'all. So I just want to jump right into the whole experience just being thrown in our face right off the bat with jumping in, leveling, and just talking about the dragon riding. All right, I'm going to just say this right off the bat. I'm obsessed with dragons. I'm obsessed with dragon riding. I grew up reading Aragon, so this was a holy grail given to me, and I am so excited, and I'm so happy, and it's actually been very enjoyable. How's your first impressions of just Dragonflight when you entered the world? How did it feel for you guys?
Well, how was the boat experience is the question.
Oh my God.
It arrived eventually.
Eventually. Oh my God. That was a ordeal. And on top of that, I love how they have the timer that would just slowly count down and everybody just sitting there tapping their foots waiting for the ferry to come along.
And then
my favorite meme,
first one.
My favorite meme I've seen is the boat wedged in the Suez Canal. Right? Have you seen that one? Yeah.
Oh man, but I gotta say though, just jumping right into the content, I've been very happy, and I am very happy with this. Like coming from, and I hate to even reference this, and I want to put it in the past, but coming from Shadowlands, and Shadowlands,
what's Shadowlands?
I will say, yeah,
I haven't heard of that one.
I will say that this has already had a better impression than Shadowlands, in my opinion. What do you two think? Like right off the bat, just you going into the world, the way that it introduces you, I think it really captured it. I feel like it was a step up. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I had some good times with the Shadowlands opening worlds. I will say, like, I really liked Ardenweald. I liked Bastion for what it's worth. But I do think it was like more positively, like the player base had a more positive impression coming into it just from like all the media that's been going around, all the other, YouTube channels and stuff talking about it. So we were almost predisposed to look for the good things. And I feel like they hit you with a lot of good things right away. Like new Drakthir class, super cool. New starting zones, really cool. Scale Commander Azurathel, amazing voice actor. Like there's a lot of really good things like right off the start, even before you get to any of the systems or the dragon flying or anything. So yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. What about you, Win?
Well, speaking of starting zone, vast contrast from Shadowlands where you started in the Maw and it felt like you were walking through quicksand to get into the expansion, right? Whereas like when you got to the Dragon Isles, you could mount right away, which was like great. Nobody likes to not be able to mount.
I blocked that out of my memory. I forgot about that.
But then
literally they start you off in hell.
Right? Yeah. Like slow hell. Not even fast hell, like slow hell. But yeah, so I really enjoyed how quickly they got you into the dragon riding. And yes, it was still a progression, right? Into to fully level it up, but you got to do it right away. You got to accelerate your how you got into the zone. So that was really, really nice.
I gotta say, you're nailing the head, the both of you, because the way that I see it is like, yes, you get in there, they introduce you to pretty much all the main characters, the plot, and on top of that, just like you said, when you get to dragon riding pretty much within the first hour, I would say, right? Am I off?
Oh, yeah.
I would say within the first hour, yeah.
It's very quick.
And on top of that, too, for everybody out there that hasn't gotten to experience it or is planning on jumping it in or maybe is thinking about jumping back in, the dragon riding is the flying as of right now. And, like, you get your dragon riding, and dragon, it's not just flying where you just hit the space bar and take off. Like, you actually have to control your dragon.
It's interactive flying, right?
Yes. That's a great way of putting it. Now, how would you... What was it? You got your fly forward and then you're up in the air and then you get certain skills that improve you taking off from the ground and the kind of gust burst that you get. And then you also get your little side quests, or what do you call them?
The glyphs, the dragon glyphs and the races, I guess, if that's what you're referring to. Those races addicted me more than the main story quest. I was stuck in the second zone and I stopped doing the quests until I finished every race at gold level.
When I told you the same damn thing. I was like, dude, these freaking dragon races are addicting, man. Like are in the rings. You got to fly through rings, and it's like Sonic rings. And when you go through them, they have certain gust winds that like launch you twice, 3 times the amount of speed. And if you hit multiples of them, you're just flying through these rings, and they're not like up in the air. They're like you're going through trees, you're going through waterfalls. Oh, it's so.
There's definitely different skill level ones, which is super fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was a really nice touch. Like that was better than any of the world quests or like fun side activities that were in BFA or Shadowlands. Like that by itself is a fun game. Like regardless of the rest of the content, I would play that game as like a racer and just do that. Like they have a multiplayer component. Like you could play against other players and race each other. It's
I haven't
awesome.
gotten to that point yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to
That's
do that.
right at the top of the Ruby life pools. There's the normal bronze Dragonflight race guy, and then there's one that's holding 3 flags. And if you talk to the 3 flag one, he'll put you in a queue and wait for other players to queue up, and then you instance and start racing each
I'd be
other.
all for that.
It's really fun.
And then on top of that, just so we're not talking about just the racing and all the little specific things, I do want to add the little pepper on top, is you get to customize your dragons. And pretty intuitively, I mean, it's like you're building your character. I mean, you get 4 different colors that you earn throughout the time as you're doing these world quests and you're doing these world events. You're getting these cosmetic rewards, like for your tail, your horns, the snout, the chest, the crest, the scales. Like, I think overall that this is just such a better, inviting experience into a new content. Like, just it's oh my god, it's just I'm having so much fun with it. And on top of that too, the leveling experience going alongside with that. So while you're doing all this, you're leveling along. So I feel like there's a lot that's going on, but it's not overwhelming. It's very, there's always something to do, but it's not like, oh my God, I got to go do this. I got to go do that. Like you're enjoying yourself every step of the way. Like while you're leveling, you're like, oh, there's a glyph up there. Let me go grab that. You know, oh, I unlocked a few new things. Let me just stop and re-cosmetic my dragon really quick. Like, how do you feel so far about the leveling alongside with the dragon riding? Like, how do the both of you feel about that?
You go ahead, Win. I have some thoughts here.
I have not even touched dragon customization, honestly, yet. There's been just so many other things that have taken my attention.
There's 2 kinds of people out there.
Well, I do have to say I prefer the smaller dragon over the bigger one, just, you know, for dismounting and flying into buildings and, you know, just things like that.
I can even see that being a potential asset in even racing, because I can tell you, the dragon I have, the first one that you get, is a big hunk of, you know.
Oh, yeah. You wing clip that tree.
Ass. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Several times. But anyway, continue. Sorry.
The other thing I have to say is I think it's really weird to be a Drakthir riding a dragon. I think that was a kind of a miss.
Yeah.
And I know, I think they talked about it, but there was too many difficulties with allowing the Drakthir to just fly.
Transform. That too. Yeah.
But I do think it's yeah, it just really takes you out of it when you're like, you see wings on top of wings.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay.
I was expecting them to transform into the dragon of that flight. You get what I'm getting at?
You mean kind of
So,
like a druid turns into like their mount?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. Like, you know how you see the big dragons? Rathian is a perfect example. Rathian is just a little bit bigger than your dragon, but then it goes to human form, like Drakthir form. You see what I'm saying? That's kind of what I was hoping for, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. I'm still very happy with what I got. I do want to ask, though, just to move into the leveling aspect of things, how has the transition been for you guys? Because for those that don't know and do know, they changed the talent system once again. I do have some points and personal opinions, but I want to hear yours. How do you feel about the leveling experience, especially with the new talent tree and the talent system, and especially just your experience overall with your mains? Like, you both play Demon Hunters, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we've been treated pretty kindly by the new talent system.
Oh, yeah.
We're a little strong right now. We do some damage.
Actually, during the raid I watched, when I was watching the first 5 raid bosses, the top DPS that I noticed was Beastmaster, Evoker, Feral Druid was one of them, and Demon Hunter.
Well, Feral Druid's always pretty strong on single target. I think Beastmaster's kind of a surprise there. You know, in all the tier lists I've seen, they've been pretty low.
That's what got me too. I think it was just Teros though. That
Well, it's
they
also
were just excelling on.
It's always the player over the class, right?
True story, fam. But going back to your Demon Hunter though, and the leveling system and just the skill tree, like, how do you feel happier with the new talent tree that they brought back, because I feel like they kind of brought back but kept a little bit of what was.
Oh yeah, it's been.
You know what I'm saying?
So with Demon Hunter, I only played it with the in Shadowlands, so I never played with the momentum build or anything like that, like Frosty has. So checking that out has been like.
Can you give us like a little short summary of like what momentum
momentum
is? I don't know.
It basically, you use any of your movement abilities and it gives you a damage buff for a certain period of time. So you want to
you want to keep stacking and keeping it
up. I think you can stack it twice. So you can get up to 10 seconds of your damage buff. So you kind of constantly want to be keeping track of that and using your movement abilities for damage. So it's definitely a very fast play style, very fun, but it's something you need to like be watching for and keeping track of. So there's that. Then there's
skill based too. Yeah.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah.
It's very dangerous because you
don't want wind
have
flying
to
off
keep
a platform
moving
again.
Right.
Yeah, you have to keep moving.
You have to. You have no choice, or else you don't do as much damage. So yeah.
And then there's also the throw glaive build, which also does a similar thing where, every time you throw glaive, you get a damage buff for a certain amount of seconds. So now you're having two different things you're tracking. And there's just a lot.
Jesus.
There's a lot of different, I feel, viable builds with it where you can do tons of damage and tailor it to what you enjoy, which I think is really, not all of the classes have that ability. A lot of them still have that kind of like one track to the meta build.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been enjoying the most. And even over the last like couple of weeks, they've been doing buffs and nerfs. And so you're trying things out. Okay. With momentum though, I think they keep shortening the duration of it, which has been extremely frustrating because it went from being a really like manageable thing to keep up to like, oh, now I can't use my movement abilities for movement in a fight. I have to use them for damage.
Got you.
Yeah.
So Frosty, do you want to add anything onto what she was saying, or does she hit the nail on the head?
No, that's pretty much my thoughts about it as well. I think I might have had an easier time coming into it just because I had played Momentum all of Shadowlands, even though I wasn't supposed to be. By the end of it, it was like, no, you play Venthyr, you play I-Beam, just stack up one dot, and that's the entire playstyle. And I refused to do that, so I kept playing Night Fae and playing Momentum and all these things that just make you launch yourself around the fight like a crazy person. So I kind of have like internalized the like, no, I am constantly moving. I have to keep moving no matter what. And that's just like my favorite play style. So this has worked out great for me. I really like
keeping the
that,
hunt too has probably worked out for you.
That was amazing. We still have the hunt. We don't have Sinful Brand anymore, which was the Venthyr Covenant ability. The other two Covenant abilities are still in. Fodder to the Flame, which was the Necrolord one, and Elysian Decree, the Kyrian ability, are both also part of just like the class tree, which is really cool. I've only tried Elysian Decree on Vengeance because that's how that used to play anyway. I haven't tried Fodder to the Flame, even though I know I'm supposed to. And this is, again, one of those things where it's like, well, I know it's good, but I like my other points.
It's another thing to track, right? What I noticed, though, like technically, according to Wowhead, you're supposed to play Fodder to the Flame for Vengeance as well. But it was either not working or not working correctly because when
Fodder to the Flame?
So Fodder to the Flame is you basically spawn a demon and it tracks towards you, and it's like it's an enemy demon, and you throw glaive at it, and when you hit it with throw glaive, it does lethal damage to it, and then it explodes for a bunch of damage to the surrounding mobs. Really great.
Got you.
However, in Vengeance form, when I would throw glaive, it wouldn't kill it. It would just deal like 75% of the damage. So you would actually have to throw glaive twice to kill it. Because if you don't kill it with throw glaive, it doesn't detonate. So you would have to. So now you're spending 2 globals, and it was definitely not working properly. But in Havoc, it works really well.
Gotcha.
The other thing I really like is that our secondary stats actually do something now besides haste.
Oh yeah, that was a nice change. Like we could actually build mastery finally and like get some benefit out of it. I'm always a crit haste stacker no matter what because that's more fun.
Crit haste, baby.
Yeah. That's probably the only difficulty I've had playing Demon Hunter now is that now my haste is just so low, right? Because all of our stats are down and all of our items suck. Yeah. So it's like I'm used to having a certain number of globals in my demonic windows, and now I get 2 abilities or 3 abilities, and that's it. I'm like, oh god, this is rough. So gearing up is going to feel really nice.
I think I was at like 4% haste for the longest time leveling, and I was just like, this feels so bad.
Yeah, so that was rough. What about you, Sen? How's your transition gone?
So I told Win, and for other DK players, I'm a Death Knight Unholy player, and it's been rough because they pretty much took my main rotation build and everything and went, all right, put this in the trash. We're gonna start from scratch. Now,
but is it better? Is it more fun?
It is. It is more fun. It was just a hard learning curve for me because I'm so used to Apocalypse, and Apocalypse was, I don't know if you know this, but every 45 seconds you'd see me summon an army of undead and be like, all right, go mess that guy up, and I attach a beam to my main Zombo, and then I would have to put the beam in between the packs. So I'd always have to have my minion, my main ghoul, positioned in a way and have myself positioned to have the beam cut through them while I have Apocalypse going off. And that was just my rotation. I would Unholy Blight, which would increase my minions' damage, and it was all about just increasing my minions' damage. Increase. Unholy Blight, summon my Apocalypse, and then just Unholy Pact, I think it was, and then just put a beam through them, and then just put Death and Decay down, and just Unholy Strike. Now, it's like a Vile Contagion build where I put my disease out, and then it applies my other two diseases, my Blood Fever and Frost Fever, whatever it's called. And then after that...
So lots of dots? Then are they like dots that are ticking on the boss then?
So they're dots. And then my main ability, which is where I put these Festering Strikes on one target, I do Vile Contagion, and then I spread them out amongst all the adds, up to 7 adds. I put Death and Decay down, and then when I hit one target with my Unholy Strike, or Festering Strike or whatever it is... No, Festering Strike applies it. Unholy Strike is what detonates it. And then when I detonate it, anything in my Death and Decay also detonates Festering Strike. So I have to use my Vile Contagion to spread everything where all my dots are as well. And then I just hit one guy, but it detonates everything in the area. And seeing the AoE amounts of damage, I'm just like, oh yeah. Okay, I can get behind this. This is nice. This is real nice.
That sounds like it's going to be really good in Mythic Plus, especially if you're doing like lots of AoE.
Yes. I mean...
Yeah.
What?
I was going to say, how have you found your single target? Because those are always the two sides, right? If you're going into raids eventually.
My single target, I'm still trying to practice. It looks like it actually falls slightly back into my old build. I'm still trying to get used to it. So for everybody out there, I got into expansion late, so I'm literally 66, so I'm still trying to get used to my build. Right now, I'm just kind of going behind this new disease build because the single target build looks like it revolves around my Apocalypse build, which was what it used to be, but they added a new ability now called Ruin Bleed, which I haven't yet to get to use, which is every 2 minutes it procs, and then when it procs, it ends up giving me haste, 5% haste, or up to 20 because it goes stacking, and then on top of that too, it ends up giving me runic power. So it seems really strong. I'll get back to you on the
Is there still a lot of dots with it that you put on the boss? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, those have a lot of advantages too, because like if a lot of your damage is coming from dots, like with Feral, with Assassination Rogue, you usually have really high uptime on the boss then, because even if you have to run, do mechanics, your dots are still ticking.
There's a lot of passives too that it's not the dots that are ticking that only does damage too, but there's a lot of passives that also increases my overall damage output for every disease that's on the target as well. So I want to maintain and keep the uptime on those, so that way I can prioritize keeping the maximum damage output, because for every disease I get like a 2% overall damage bonus from those diseases. So that's another thing that I got to get used to. And then on top of that too, I'm still trying to get used to now Frost, but I don't even want to get into that yet now. I'm actually now dipping my toes in Frost, which is unheard of when it was Shadowlands. I was like, no, I know they're getting good, they're getting big, I don't want to do it yet. Now I'm starting to dip my toes in that. So next podcast I also will talk about that. So I'm excited to kind of touch on that. But with that,
Frosty, you've played some Evoker too, haven't you?
I have been playing Evoker. It's
tell
really
me about
fun.
it, man.
Yes.
I've been hearing also that it has been, actually, from what it's looking like it's going to be one of the top tier DPS. I mean, tell me, how do you feel about it?
I believe that. So I actually have not played the DPS spec at all, because if I'm playing DPS, I'm playing Havoc, and I don't need another one. So I've been doing the, what is it? Restoration? It's not restoration. Preservation Evoker, right? And the healing pattern's really fun on that. Like there are some really interesting healing spells, like a lot of AoE dots, a lot of like channeled breath abilities, which is something that's new to Evoker. So that class has 3 or 4 different spells that you kind of press and hold, and as you hold it, it fills up a bar, ticks over certain breakpoints, and then you can release it at levels 1, 2, or 3, or 4, depending on your talents. And what those levels change is it changes how much of it is upfront and how much of it is dot, whether that's damage or healing. So the total number, assuming it goes the full duration, is the same. So it doesn't actually matter how much you channel it. So if you want to like quick put a dot of damage out on a mob at the beginning of a pull, you channel to level 1, boom, no upfront damage, but a shit ton of dot damage, and then you get to healing, which seems to be the play pattern in dungeons. And you could do a lot of damage as a healer in these like big AoE packs, because it's like pretty much uncapped AoE that you're just putting out on every single mob. So damage pattern's really fun. The healing pattern's really fun because of all the like interactions and like interweaving of your spells with like Echo, which is one of the core like essence spenders. Echo is an ability that you put on one member of your party, and then whatever spell you cast on another member of your party gets duplicated for a certain percentage of the effect onto the player with Echo. So if you do that with a dot ability, an AoE dot ability, that player gets 2 of the same dot. So there's a lot of it seems like a really high skill sort of healing class. The one thing that I'm concerned about bringing it into a raid is that one of your core big single target burst healing spells is Verdant Embrace, where you launch yourself to the target that is being healed. So if you have to jump to your tank and there's a frontal cleave ability, you're gonna die. And I know that's going to happen in Pugs. You just see it. You can see it happening. So like that's my only concern with the class's play style, but otherwise it's been really fun.
Thank you for the warning.
Oh yeah. Watch out for those evoker healers.
Oh man, I'm gonna be running those public runs like no. Oh god.
I mean, people have already been trying to troll and stuff with that, with like pulling people to an edge and hoping they run off and shits. Yeah.
I mean, that's always been
the priest life grip stuff. Yep.
Spirit, critter, all you trolls. I know it's coming. I know it's happening. This time I can't wait to see. Oh my god! And with Gradius, that'd be so funny to see. I know he's gonna fat finger that at some point. I think we've touched enough on this. I mean, is there anything else you'd like to cover before we jump into a little bit of the side things before we get to the Mythic Dungeons? Ow.
Well, I guess it's all sort of related to the Mythic Dungeons for me, because I just thinking that Evoker is also another Lust class, that we now have another Lust healer. You know, that's a big deal.
I didn't even realize that, because I also did dabble in Evoker, and I accidentally fat fingered my Lust, and I was like, oh, that's a thing there. And on top of that, they wear mail, right?
Yeah,
they are mail wearers.
I know. Sorry, that's a random topic to bring up, but I was like, oh my god! Now, isn't this like one of the first male classes that have been released since Shaman? I think.
Yeah, it's Hunter, Shaman, Evoker.
When did Shaman
I think.
Yeah.
Jump in? That was that BC? Burning Crusade? I think Burning Crusade was the last time we had a male class released.
Yeah, there hasn't been another one for a long time.
So I think that's why there was so much hype behind this. It's like, oh my god, it's another male class.
Some better loot balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that
for
too.
Drops.
And then on top of that, you know what? I don't even think I totally forgot about that. They changed the whole loot drop system now too.
Yep.
Right? Yep. So for raiding, I got to go over that with good old Gradius and talk about that and see how we're going to be doing the loot drops now. I don't know if I want to keep it the same or, do roll-offs, but that's a talk.
Well, I don't think you really can roll things off. I mean, it's now built into the system, right?
It does it for you.
Yeah, you need on it, and if you need on it and you get it, it means it's something you need, and then you can't trade it typically.
I thought that they were still discussing the option of putting in master loot, was it? What was the term for it?
Yeah, but I think everyone has to opt in, right, for that?
I think that's for guild, like the Mythic guild type of content, not really the community runs.
Yeah, we were going to be looking into that, but it is what it is. I mean, but that is a thing now, so for those that didn't know, yep, that's how they're doing the loot drop system. I'm actually curious, though, what's the eye level now of, like, the gear... I want to say the high-end gear.
So Mythic Zeros are dropping 372. I don't know what the raid gear level is. Do you know when?
Here.
I think it's into the 400s.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, before we get into the raid gear eye level though, what was the
So you're getting 372s from Mythic Zeros, and I think that means, I mean, Mythic Plus goes way up higher than that, right?
Yeah.
So Heroic Raid should be at least 398 if I'm doing that, because it's like tiers of 13. That
Okay,
might
so
be...
it's saying raid drops right now for boss drops. Low looking for raid is 376 eye level. Mid looking for raid is going to be 382. High looking for raid is going to be 385. And then low normal is starting at 389. And then it says that keystones are also dropping 389, starting at 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that probably makes Heroic at 402 then, right? For Heroic Raid.
That would
once
make
that's out.
sense.
Look at you on the money. Yes, it is.
Okay. Nice.
Yep. Low heroic starting. Yeah. So heroic is starting at 402, and then it will cap at 411. It's looking like, and then mythic is starting at 415. So the max that you can get, the very max is 424.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. So 424 being like at Mythic Plus 15s.
Mythic Plus 20s.
Oh, it goes up to 20s this time?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's very fun.
Oh yeah. Okay. So actually, yeah, mythic 19 to 20 drops 405. Wow.
Yeah, but you can then
But then
upgrade
like,
it, right?
Yeah.
And from your vault,
And
you'll
vault
get
it.
the
Says
higher.
Valor.
Yeah.
Valor, you can upgrade all the way up to 415, which is mythic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think they were trying to make it a little bit more incentivized for people who mostly play M+. Like the skill level between doing a 15 and Mythic Raid is pretty vast. Like
Yeah.
Mythic Raid is a whole different level
Yeah.
than
Mythic Plus 15.
M15s.
That's accessible. Like you can
Yeah.
be confident and do it.
I gotta say though, all the way up. So Valor, you don't need your Valor rank until trying to get 395. So you could upgrade your gear all the way up to 392, which is normal to low heroic level of eye level gear. So if you just ran mythics and then you had Valor, you could rank up your gear all the way to 392 before you actually need to start, keying across the board. But that's actually really awesome. And talking about the dungeons, though, what are the dungeons right now? So season 1, when was season 1 starting, by the way?
That is, at time of filming, a week from today, but that'll be December 12th, December 13th for the reset. Yeah.
Good. All right. So with that being said, actually, I think we looked up the list right before this. So how many dungeons are there altogether? There's 8 in Dragonflight, right?
That is correct. But only 4 of those
Okay.
are going into the first season Mythic Plus rotation.
But there are 8 altogether in the season 1. So that means that we're getting 4 from Dragonflight and 4 from other previous X packs, correct?
That is right. I think
Yeah.
we have
And-
some Legion, some others, none of which I have done. So it's going to be fun.
Yes. Actually, I have done
They're all
one of
new
these,
then,
so-
right?
Yep. So this is coming out on the 12th. I'm just going to quickly blast through these really quick. So the ones from Dragonflight are Ruby Life Pools. I don't even know how to pronounce it, so bear with me. Algathar Academy, the Zerf Vault, and the Nokud Offensive. So those are the 4 from Dragonflight. And then we have 2 from Legion, which is Halls of Valor, Court of Stars. We have 1 from Warlords of Draenor, which is Shadow Moon Burial Grounds. And then the 4th is from Mists of Pandaria, Temple of the Jade Serpent. Since I'm only level 66 and I'm still cruising through the storyline, I've only gotten to do Ruby Life Pools and the Nokud Offensive. How's the Zerf Vault and the Alcathar Academy? I haven't gotten to do that yet.
So I think they're pretty fun. I really like the challenge of the Azure Vault especially for Demon Hunter, because there's the 4th boss of it, or maybe 3rd, last boss of Azure Vault. On Mythic and above difficulty, there is a stacking dot. Anytime you move, it puts a stacking debuff that anytime you move, it slows you down. And it stacks up to 10 times.
I see where this is going.
So as a Demon Hunter, you have to keep moving. So you can't really move. You just fell rush and then you stay still. And it's really interesting. So it's a really cool boss fights. The aesthetic's really nice. The Algathar Academy is really cool too. I think there's that like bird boss with the like soccer ball goals that you can opt to throw the like balls into the goals at any point during the fight. And when it starts, it gives you both a damage buff, but also like rains hell down on the platform for the entire rest of the encounter. So there's going to be some cool like optimizations that you can make while you're going through those dungeons, I think. I don't know, what would you like about those, Win? Like I know you've gone through all the dungeons by now, right?
Yeah, I think for some of them I definitely liked more than others. Like the Academy, it's like there's a couple different ways you can route it, but overall it's just super linear. And the pulls are going to be like really pretty consistent. So which is the one with the flying? That's the Nakud offensive, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That one is definitely more open world. Definitely, I think, going to be challenging, but a lot of fun in Mythic Plus with just different pulls that you can do, and challenging with pugs, but I think fun with like a practiced group. Definitely.
I was gonna say, even on normal, when I did the Nakud offensive, that was one of those. So it is open world. Like you're on your dragon, you're riding the wind turrets that are literally flying around the entire region because it takes up an entire region. And I was following the tank, and thank God I was quick on my toes and ready on the money, because that tank literally took off, rode those turrets. I mean, dive bombed in, which is actually an ability you can buy if you're a dragon rider investing in your glyphs. So get your glyphs. It would dive bomb, do his damage, do his splash damage, and then just go. All right, we beat the boss, takes off, and he flew off into the distance, into the sunset. I'm just like, where is he going?
I'm just waiting to see what the meta is on the most direct route to the last boss, because it dismounts you, right? So there's gonna be a route that's better than others.
So I have a curveball for the two of you that we did not talk about before the session right here and now. And I'm actually curious, do you know what the Mythic seasonal affix is going to be?
Thundering.
Oh. Win is the best of us. I gotta say. God
This is why she keeps winning. I did not know that.
Yeah, so actually, while you guys were talking, I literally popped in my head. I was like, dude, I didn't even think about the affix. As you know, every Mythic season has an affix. If you don't mind, I would like to touch on it really quick.
Yeah, it's been through a few iterations, actually, since Alpha. It gives you a damage and healing buff, I believe, while you have it on. And it's almost a little bit like the mechanic on Anduin, where you have to match up with the other person so you don't explode.
Oh.
So you're going to have a positive and a negative charge or something like that. I'm not sure if it's going to be shown in different colors or how you'll know, but yeah, you got to go match up with the person before the timer expires. But so it's like it's something that you can try to min max, where you want to keep that buff as long as you can because it gives you a damage buff, but you don't want to let it expire on you. So yeah,
and then get nuked.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where, like, if you're in a pug and you're kind of nervous about it, you can just run and find your opposite and get rid of your buff right away.
Gotcha.
But you could.
Yeah, I got you. So I'm reading it, and I didn't want to interrupt you because I wanted to get your take on it. I'm just going to quickly read it for me and Frosty, since Win, you expert. The new Mythic seasonal affix for Dragonflight Season 1 is Thundering. The affix periodically marks all players with different debuffs, boosting their damage and healing by 30%, but it will explode if not removed before it expires. Players remove the debuff by coming into contact with the player of the opposite debuff. Look at you, Win. Primal Overload sends out two different marks, Mark of Wind and Mark of Lightning. These marks both buff your damage and healing by 30% for 15-second duration. If you fail to clear the debuffs before they expire, you will be afflicted with Primal Overload and be stunned for 5 seconds. Primal Overload is after 15 seconds. Primal Overload stuns you and inflicts you with nature damage every second for 5 seconds. And then due to there being 5 players in Mythic Dungeon... Oh, I didn't even think about this. Due to there being 5 players in Mythic Dungeons, 1 player will not clear the debuff. However, they will not gain the punishment for the debuff expiring as long as 4 players successfully clear their debuffs. Interesting.
Oh, so the 5th player is just at the whim of the rest of the party. Like, if
that
you don't
5th player,
there's
going to be at least 3 damaged players per dungeon run that are like, nope, I'm the 5th person, I don't have to clear.
It's the mage. Come on. It's always the mage.
Yeah, that's the recurring
it's gonna be the
joke of
mage.
this podcast. It's the mage.
The mage or the warlock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
whoever the lowest mobility member of the party is like, no, you have to come to me. I'm not moving. Oh, it's going to be so bad.
Yep. Now, I wonder what the meta would. Oh my god, that's going to be so. Now, what I'm curious though is that it says this affix periodically marks all players. I'm curious what would give it though. It doesn't state anywhere what's giving it, how it comes out, when it comes out. Because this whole time we've always had mobs that you would have to get a certain percentage of, and every 20% it would summon a minion, or you would have to go find the mobs, kill them. I'm just curious if this is just going to be a persisting thing that just keeps kicking off every now and then. You know
Is it like quaking maybe, where there's a chance of it every what's quaking? 20 seconds?
Well, quaking is like one of those.
Yeah, it's an affix. It's an affix.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, like, because it says periodically, and I know it's 25? 75? Okay, 75.
I think.
Yeah.
So, but not
She's checking in with the guru.
But not like
in the
regularly.
background.
There's probably some RNG on it, I would guess, right, to make it slightly variant.
well, there is, just like quaking, right? It's a chance of it every 75 seconds. It's not
Yeah,
every
yeah.
75 seconds.
Yeah.
Because what I'm going off of right now is I'm going off of Shadowlands, because in season 1 we had that oh my god, what was that big red elemental looking dude?
Prideful.
Prideful. We had Prideful. Then after Prideful, we had pretty much what was considered to be. Oh my god, you got
Oh,
it.
the
It was the
Torghast.
dungeon runs.
The Torghast
Yes, the
powers.
Torghast buffs. And then the third one was those
Encrypted.
3 different
Yeah.
whatever they
Yeah.
call yeah.
Yeah.
We actually have
No, the
4 because-
fourth
the fourth
was
one was
encrypted.
encrypted. The third one was the sneaky mob guys or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I forget.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to stick into, that sense of like, is it one of along the lines of one of those 4 things? Ask the guru in the background at some point. But yeah, so it's good to know. So for those that are wondering, just to kind of wrap it all up, though, it seems like that Thundering is going to be the affix, and as of right now, yes, it might be changed and prone to changes in the future, but as of right now, I mean, it looks like that it's going to be still the same mentality of just having 2 negative and a positive. Perfect example, by the way, Win, Anduin. I mean, you could nail on the head. That was perfect.
I mean, it took people how long to figure that out? No.
Yeah. Oh, don't even, don't even get me started on that. Oh, oof, murdering our healers and DPS and stacking on top of tanks. Oh my god! Damn you, Chippy! Sorry, I had to say that really quick.
I actually never did
Anyway.
Anduin even. That was one of the bosses that I just skipped
really?
entirely. Yeah. I killed the jailer. I didn't
think you
kill
would have enjoyed
Anduin.
I'm going to tell you now. I really think that you would have enjoyed that. Out of all the fights, personally, you, Frosty, I think would have thoroughly enjoyed Anduin, to be honest with you. I enjoyed Anduin. I didn't enjoy the learning hurdle for, teaching it, because it is a fucking shitfest. But it's a fun fight. I definitely enjoyed it. By the way, I did want to ask a quick question. I am kind of jumping a little bit off, but is there any new add-ons that we need? Anything that you've been using that you noticed? I've noticed that Handy Notes has dragon glyphs that I've been using to get all my dragon marks on the map. I've also found a 34 slot bag just for having Handy Notes, because there's a chest and a waterfall that I was just like, hey, come grab me. And it was absolutely free. Besides Handy Notes, I mean, it's still the usuals, right?
Yeah, there's weak auras and stuff for tracking world bosses and which ones you've killed and which ones are outstanding that you can still kill.
I'm going to have to check my weak arrows too once when Thundering comes out, because I'm curious if it's going to have to be like a mob-based thing where you have to get like 20%, or if there's certain locations to get the affix or something like that. I'm sure there's going to be a weak arrow for that, and that's something I'm definitely going to have to look into.
Yeah, it feels like the same core ones are doing the trick though. They've just been updated for the new expansion, and it's mostly been fine.
Exactly. I mean, I'm still rolling with DBM details. Although, really quick side note as well, you were mentioning redoing your overlay because of LVUI. When?
Yeah, I switched over to LVUI. And
I thought you were already on that, to be honest with you.
No.
I thought you've been using that.
No.
Oh.
So yeah, it's been.
How do you feel?
Not
about
only am
that?
I learning a new damage rotation, but I'm also looking at it through a completely different lens. So that's been
boy.
really fun. But I think it's going to be beneficial for me in the long run. Yeah. So.
Yeah. That's all I hear, and then I hear everybody say, "Once you go LVUI, you don't go back." What about you, Frosty? Do you use LVUI?
No, I tried out the new in-game UI edit mode updates, and I got something that I'm pretty happy with.
I love
so I'm okay with it.
Same here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then also another thing I really wanted to quickly cover. I am asking you guys, since you got into the end content, and I actually jumped into a voice chat with you, Win, and your hubby, Dream, Chippy, and I heard you guys were farming Renown what is the benefit of farming Renown right now? Like, what do you get from it? Because I unintentionally was farming it, which is why I'm not max level. I was doing every side quest and getting all my Renown, and I thank you, Win, and the others that told me just do
stop doing that.
Yeah, go do your main quest line, get that done, and then go back and do that. But is there anything that's like that jumps out at you right now that that you're like, oh, I want to get my Renown for this?
Well, it's not really connected to player power. It's more for like professions and things like that. So if you're trying to level up a profession, there's recipes in there that you really can't get any other way other than leveling up your Renown. So
I'm so glad you brought this up. I'm going to wait.
Yeah, professions is a whole other thing. But yes, the Renown, I mean, everybody right now doesn't have anything better to do once they're max level other than grind Renown. So of course that's what they're doing. But there's some cosmetics, I think. I'm not sure. Frosty, do you know what else unlocks through
There
Renown?
are some pieces of gear that you can buy from the Renown vendors if you get it high enough, and they're decently high eye level. You can get, I think, like high in the 350s to 360. So like not what you'd get from M0s, but still good, like good enough to have some
good for
catch up
leveling.
stuff. Yeah. And then in addition, like if you don't do all the Renown stuff up front, there is a weekly Renown farm quest in Valdrakken that you get to farm, where it's just get 4,000 Renown with any of the factions. And you do that, you're going to be doing that every week. And that also grants you supplies and gear and like all of the above.
It grants you a 350 piece of high level gear, right?
I think that's right, but I think there was some level scaling on it, as similar to the way that World Quests are doing it as well, where it scales to sort of match your current eye level. So the later that you do it,
there's got to be a cap on it, though. I'm sure.
I'm sure it's not going to continue to just improve. But it is that sort of thing where like the rares, the World Quests, and these renowned things are giving scaled gear, which is actually higher level than what you can get in M0s for this week. So literally, this isn't going to be useful for anyone who's watching this, but for the three of us, for today, if you get max your eye level first and then kill rares, and you have a chance of getting higher level loot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know. No, I mean, that works out for me because, like I said, I'm a little bit behind. So
so finish your main story quest, and then do the other stuff. I agree with what Win has said.
So I do want to say this, okay? Have either of you played Final Fantasy 14?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. During the WoW content drought of Shadowlands Season 2.
Okay, so I played Final Fantasy 14. When I played Final Fantasy 14, this has to do with WoW. I loved crafting. That's actually all I did in Final Fantasy 14. I hit max level, I got done with my story quest, and I was like, I'm just going to make money. That's what I'm going to do. And I noticed, and for anybody that does play Final Fantasy 14, and WoW, you're probably going to be like, ha! I was waiting for someone to say it. That the gear that you get now, so you get what, a hat, and is it a chest piece, or you get? It
depends on your profession. It can vary.
Yeah. That's the same in Final Fantasy. Now, Final Fantasy, you actually have to get a full decked out set of gear, and each piece of gear that you get on gives you a little bit more bonus to how many resources you get back, the quality of the resources, because now you have quality of materials that you get, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I think there's 3 different levels for quality.
Mm-hmm. And then you also want to get better gear for when you're even crafting, so you can craft that better quality gear as well. And that, I will tell you now, looking at it, just totally pulls from Final Fantasy. Like when I saw that and the stats and everything like that, I was like, dude, this is just like a little bit simpler version of Final Fantasy. But the reason why I like that is it's somewhat relatable to anybody who's from Final Fantasy, but I feel like people from Final Fantasy be like, this is just a dumber version of it. Like, this is super simple.
And still, it's so much better than what WoW had before.
Yes, I was going to say that too. But I actually enjoyed that. And on top of that too, it's actually been benefiting me as well. And on top of that, just finding those little simple resources that also just permanently boost your stat too. I was like, ooh, this is nice. This is a nice little perk. But I have enjoyed that they also improved upon the crafting system as well. Still getting used to it and still adjusting to it. I haven't even bothered investing into it yet because obviously I'm leveling. But it was a nice little change of pace that I noticed. But besides that, though, I don't think I noticed anything else besides those 2 things. I think it was just...
well, then you basically have a talent tree now for your professions, right? And you get knowledge points that you sink into them. That. Depending. So don't, like...
Did not know that.
Unless you've done your research and you know exactly where you want to end up with your profession, don't use any of your knowledge points because
it's
you can never...
correct?
Yeah, you can never take them back. ever.
Unless you probably pay real money, I'm guessing.
No.
I'm not trying to do that to you.
No.
Really?
You do not get them back.
It's committed.
Eventually you will get enough knowledge points to fill everything out if you want, but that's going to be like a really long time. So
now I'm curious, what if you, I mean, not that I could see anybody doing this, but what if you give up that profession, switch something else and switch back to it? Do you have to start over?
You lost all your knowledge points. Yeah.
Oh, knowledge points you lose though?
Yeah.
You lose it all? Wow.
You don't lose the ones that you haven't invested into your specialization yet, but all the ones you have are gone. And there's, a few ways you can get more knowledge points the first time you craft something of each type. You get a knowledge point. There's like different treasures on the map. There's different profession trainers you can talk to get some knowledge points. And other than that, it's just grinding it out.
I'm curious about that, though. I got to look into that because I plan on getting invested into it. And actually, it's kind of nice to hear people actually talking about in the community chat and play it forward. Just being like, hey, what are you going to be investing in? Hey, what profession are you going to be working on? It seems like people are actually taking crafting a little bit more serious and like wanting to get invested into it. And I was like, okay, this is really nice to hear and pretty cool to hear about it. And on top of that, I do like this as well because it seems like that since there's going to be different specializations, that it looks, not that it's simpler, but it's looking like someone who doesn't normally craft can get into crafting and specialize in one thing where someone else can specialize in another, but it's not that difficult to invest in that one specialization, if that makes sense. But it takes a lot to, cover
get
yourself
there.
in all the specializations.
And for anyone looking to get into crafting, like Wowheads has really good detailed guides talking about knowledge points. What's that?
I was going to say add-ons as well.
Well, but I mean, like Wowhead has like articles like talking about the specializations and how you would path to end up at certain things, where you want to put your knowledge points depending on what you want to craft and what you want to do with it. If you want to just make gold, if you want to like make gear, if you want to, whatever that is. And it also, it gives you complete lists too. It's like, okay, to max out this, you need all of these materials. So it's basically like a shopping list. Yeah. So it's very, very handy.
Yeah, that is the one, like, I think most important thing with professions is like, it is a really good system, and I think like Blizzard did a good job of designing it, and it does like change that part of the game in a positive way for the people who enjoy it. But the like gripe that I have with it on the counter side is that like they don't do a good job of explaining it in game.
No,
and there's all these different terms. These like this perk gives you +1 deftness on mining. This gives you +1 finesse. What do those mean? It doesn't. You cannot find that in the game window where it says it. Like it is absolutely not explained. So like definitely 100% when like you're like exactly right. Like please go and research on Wowhead. Like look it up before you do anything with this because they did not add a tutorial.
No.
Yeah, actually, a tutorial would be really good. Like a mini quest line, just going through that like is totally optional. Right? Is not connected to the main story, not connected to something you have to do, maybe rewards you with a few crafting materials if you wanted, but just, going through and saying, this is what this is what the process is.
What I was going to say, just to steal, I mean, not to steal, but to make a reference to Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV actually had a quest giver, but he was just strictly, it was like, what do they call it? Like an armaments or like he would give you work orders. There we go. And he would have a list of them. And if you went and did it, it would give you XP into your crafting class. And then also on top of that, it would reward you with some materials sometimes. But it would always reward you for coming in and giving in that work order. And I feel like that would be a great way to give people a tutorial of saying, hey, this guy, if you want to earn some reputation, boom, there you go. Go out, get them, get the resources, go craft that item, bring it in. And depending on the quality, you'd get more reputation and you'd get more reward back for the higher quality. So if there's a normal tier or HQ, high quality tier item, and you drop that in, that would reward you back. And that was their way to incentivize you to craft and get into that. And I love that idea because, I mean, that's how I kept up with it. And that's how I kept my gear getting better. And it really was a good return. And it also kept me wanting to keep improving, learning, getting better. And they would walk you through every step of the way. And I think WoW would significantly improve if they just taught people how to craft.
Well,
I know
and
it sounds
there
silly
is
to the
there's
meta players,
crafting
but-
orders, but I don't think there's any like benefit to them besides actually creating the item. Might level up your profession, add whatever tip that person decides to give you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't think it gives anything.
Yeah, it's not systemic.
Any
Like it's not
experienced-
created by
yeah.
the game to do that either. That's
I
still
feel like
player
I'm
to player.
such a noob though, but with work orders, I heard Cell talking about that when we were in chat. Or has that always been a thing where people can
No.
put in work orders for someone to craft?
No,
That's new.
That was
right?
always
Yeah.
just through the auction house before, which still is a thing, but you couldn't specifically say like I'm looking for this thing and put in an order like
now
that.
you can though, right?
Yeah, you actually
And-
you provide the materials, and someone
That's
goes in
what I
and
was gonna
creates
say.
it for you. Yeah.
Right.
But that's
that
public
helps.
ones. There's public ones, and then there's private ones. You can do private ones through guilds. I'm not sure if through communities, but I know definitely through guilds. You can do private ones where the crafter supplies the materials, and then you can, or they can supply the materials, and then you can actually dictate what quality of the item you want.
Wow. And where would you go to do that?
There's a place in
Because I don't know.
Valdrakken that you haven't gotten to yet. So
Yeah.
the main city at the end,
main city.
yeah, it is like the main city of the expansion where there's an auction house there, there's the crafting stuff, there's all the inn, the main inn, all the
Yeah,
main
there's an auction
reputation.
house.
That is my favorite thing is that
Fuck
you don't
Orbos.
have to go back to
Just
Stormwind.
gotta say.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is the first time in forever that this has
Right?
happened. I don't think
Yeah,
that,
I mean
how
BFA
long
didn't
had-
have it
oh my
either. There
God.
wasn't an auction house in Borealis. Like it's so nice.
Oh, that's fucking awesome. Oh my god. All right. Well, I've learned a lot. Thank you so much for that. I'm really glad to actually jump into it. I'm going to be spending the rest of my night just leveling. So after we're done with this, I'm literally just jumping on and going shooting for max. Now, just for everybody else's knowledge, before we scoot off and run away and go delve back into the Dragonflight awesomeness, the same time that Season 1 Mythic is coming out, the raid is coming out as well, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So also that December 12th date.
Yeah, the
All
only thing I haven't looked
difficulties except LFR.
Right. No LFR.
up- Oh, there's no LFR?
Not for that.
Not for the first
week.
week. But
Oh,
but
yeah. No, that usually follows, and then they release Wings.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, and what raid bosses do we know are being released? I'm gonna Google this.
I mean the whole raid
You
should
mean
be
an
opening.
LFR?
Yeah. Is it the whole raid is just getting opened up?
Not
'Cause
an
for-
LFR, but normal the whole raid should be open.
no, I mean the
Normal,
raid,
heroic,
all
mythic.
Yeah,
bosses.
everything's available. Race to World first is starting right away, although I'm sure they're going to have to
Ooh, I
get
can't
through
wait.
Heroic first just to get gear.
I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait to watch that. It's actually something I'm going to be pretty stoked to watch. I've only seen the first 5 bosses, and so far we're going to save this for the next podcast when it's actually out and we actually get to experience it. I've only gotten to see the first 5 bosses, and I will say, right off the bat, I'm just going to say this. The first boss not being just a simple tank spec, there's actual mechanics to it, but it looks fun. It looks like a lot of fun. It's new, it's fun, it's exciting. I'm really excited for it. I'm not even going to give any hints. We'll save that for next time, but I am excited. But the raid is coming out at the start of Season 1 Mythics, which is December 12th, or the week of December 12th, I believe it is. Technically, I think it's the 3rd.
Whenever reset happens for your region on that day,
Yes.
period.
I just really hope that Demon Hunter isn't just super OP in the first week or two, and then
And then
it
we
gets
get
nerfed
gutted.
into the ground.
Yeah.
Ooh, I hope not. I want to be good for once.
It was actually funny. Death Knight, the whole reason why I was actually considering not playing Death Knight, which actually brings a tear to my eye, was because they were actually pretty low on the DPS tier, but as the patches have been coming out, they've been slowly just rising up their ranks. I'm like, yes, go. Don't go too high up, just a little bit higher.
Yeah, you
Because,
gotta
oh, man.
you gotta wonder, like, some of those classes just definitely seem to get all the love tier after tier after season, and it's like,
Yep.
you I mean, I'm not gonna shit on anyone doing their job, but it's like people who really love and are passionate about their jobs, or else their bosses let them have all the leash, and then there's
Yep.
other people that their bosses are like, you can't do that.
It's usually mages and hunters, I believe, are
Warlocks.
the ones that get all the love, if I'm correct. And warlocks, yeah.
Warlocks.
Actually, don't even give me. I'm not gonna go down the rabbit hole. But
Boomkin.
Affliction warlock.
Oh, yeah.
Affliction warlock. Yep, Boomkin. And I believe that actually sticking on the Boomkin thing, Druid healers are once again number 1.
Yeah, I have seen that.
Doing really well. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that Boomkin. The Evoker. What was the Evoker's healing class?
Preservation.
Preservation. And then Holy Paladin, I believe, was also up there.
Holy Paladin's always really strong.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's been it, and I pray for the both of you that you don't get nerfed to the ground either, because I don't. What's your backup, Rogue?
No, I'm playing Havoc. I don't care if it sucks.
I had to walk away. I couldn't. No, Havoc. That's no.
I really enjoy Monk as well, like Windwalker.
That's how I met you.
Yeah. I definitely, it's something that I would not mind maining, except the fact that Cell mains it. So when we run content together, especially 5-man groups, it doesn't make sense to have 2 monks in a group. So yeah.
And for your I have to ask before we scoot, for your Mythic group, are you tanking? Is Cell tanking? Or are you DPSing? Or are you just rotating to whatever's needed?
I'm probably gonna play a lot of Vengeance. Sounds like.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but we've got
Havoc.
No. I'll definitely play Havoc too. But yeah, we've got a lot of people like coming into this tier
you got
that
quite the posse following you around, being like, "Hey, can you give us a?"
No, I feel like it's not quite like that. It's more like we've built up a community of people that like to play M+ together, and we work well together, and have really enjoyed like growing in the game together.
Oh yeah.
So I think we have quite a few options as far as compositions and who's tanking, who's healing, and all that, depending on who's available.
Every time I've been popping into the community chat, I always see you guys, like at least 6 of you, 7 of you, just chilling out in there, crushing through the content. So it's really nice to see you guys doing that. And on top of that too, let's be real, it's also really fucking nice to have a friend like that to be like, hey, Win. Nothing's better than. It's funny when you have to come drag me to come do those dungeons, and I'm just like, I'm just so burnt out for raiding.
That's not gonna stop. But you're still gonna get dragged to dungeons.
Oh yeah, no.
You also got to look at it like a time to like relax and have fun, and not feel like you have to drive the content and you have to drive the communication, right? So
yeah,
we just said we want you to enjoy the game, not get burnt out from just raid leading.
I know, but who else is gonna be send tools or send
tools?
You know,
it's a thing.
Mm-hmm. It is. Oh my god, I get sick of hearing my own voice. I go back and listen to myself. I'm like, I don't stop. Ever. Although Frosty then comes in and boosts my ego by being like, why do you need any add-on when you have I'm boosting my own ego now.
That was a quote from me. It's okay. That's not you.
Yeah. All right. But I will say this though. I am very excited for everything. I'm now to get on a serious note. I am very excited. There have been a few bugs here and there, but all in all, I'm going to say now I've been very happy with the leveling content, the pacing of the leveling, just everything that's involved, the little distractions so you get to enjoy, the cosmetics, just the atmosphere too. The atmosphere is absolutely unbelievably just well done. The story's pretty driven. Everything about it has just been absolutely awesome. I'm very excited to see what comes in the following weeks, including the Mythics, the rating, and then you're going to be hearing back from us, especially about all that. So I'm very, very excited about that. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we scoot?
I'll just echo your excitement. This is a really good expansion already, and I hope it stays that way.
Yes. Dragons.
even the community has such a good, I feel like, positive, much more positive than in the past several seasons.
That's what makes it. That's what makes it Blizzard like that. That's what drives the content. Like, believe it or not,
the
atmosphere, having a community.
The atmosphere is more than just the game itself. It's the community too, and to have such positive vibes happening in the community at all levels is just really really elevates the game.
Yeah, people are always coming in talking about something new, some new encounter, and just talking about the content. And every single time that people have been popping in, it's been nothing but good so far. So I'm very excited for that, very happy. And honestly, it's just such a relief. I'm so sick and tired of hearing, God damn it, Blizzard.
It's a nice change.
We're going to hear it. Oh, yeah. But anyway, all right.
Yeah, that's all for us for today. Stay frosty.
Keep winning.
Send it.